In June 2007, the top engineering and engineering technology students in the world converged at RIT to test their skills in the third and final challenge of the Society of Automotive Engineers' largest student design competition of the year. More than 140 colleges and universities from around the world designed and built all-terrain vehicles capable of holding up under the most adverse conditions.
We found, because of maybe the visibility of this type of event, we now have people recruiting from race teams from all over the world because, A, they want the passion, they want that ability to work in a team. They really are, I feel, the best of the best.
One of the things that this event draws out is the passion within the young engineering and engineering technology students, and that was quite evident if you walked around the pits or were on a course. You saw engineers and young engineers in training really getting into what they were doing, and I think part of the reason for this is these teams, these students, had started working on a project sometimes 12 months prior.
I spent 37 years at Chrysler, and the way I got hooked on engineering was building go-karts as a kid. Go-karts and scooters, and eventually working on complete vehicles. I wish there had been an event like this as a kid, this well organized. Unfortunately, I'm a bit older and didn't have that opportunity, but it was a similar desire and passion for making things. It's something that everyone has a passion for, that freedom that comes from personal mobility.
The industry side is telling us the engineers are not trained well enough and they don't have hands-on skills. The universities, by the same token, are telling us that they need programs that fit in the design curriculum. So the programs were developed on that basis, where it was a win-win situation between the academics and the industry people. So in bridging that gap, we're giving the industry better prepared engineers. The students the ability to take the theoretical stuff and apply it in a real-world project, and really give them some good soft skills, leadership skills, communication skills, presentation skills, and especially project management skills. And you ask any of them, there are a lot of them here volunteering. This program helped them in their jobs.
I started with the Mini Baja team here at RIT in 1996. It was my first year at RIT as a freshman, and the next 4 years while I was a student, we became one of the, the top teams in the nation. Once I graduated, I went to work for Honda. While at Honda, I became one of SAE's national technical inspectors. We coordinate all of the technical inspections for all 220 teams at all 3 events. So we'll go on site, we train technical inspectors to help us out, and we inspect all the cars to make sure they're meeting the rules, there's no safety issues, that their cars are ready to compete during the competition for all the dynamic events.
Baja SAE consists of 3 regional competitions that simulate real-world engineering design projects and their related challenges. Engineering students design and build an off-road vehicle that will survive the severe punishment of rough terrain. Hopefully survive. The first event was Baja SAE UCF, hosted by University of Central Florida. The second in the series was the Baja SAE South Dakota, hosted by South Dakota School of Mines and Technology. RIT added a new dimension to the Baja experience. Working with public broadcasting station WXXI in Rochester, New York, 3 RIT students were outfitted with video cameras to record the team on the road. RIT students Robert Drury, Regina Huynh, and Tiza Zito were embedded with the team. Chronicling the process provided a hands-on education for the video crew and added a new dynamic to the whole team experience. They provided a window onto the interaction of individuals behind the scenes. It was a personal documentation of all the work that goes into fielding and maintaining a team under tough conditions and pressure. From late nights to early morning crew calls and all through the day, the RIT videography team provided an up-close and personal perspective.
at lap times. They should be able to get an hour, but we'll see as they go along. If they start running 11-minute lap times, they might be able to push it a little, one more lap.
Well, the Total Collegiate Design Series, it's a chance for students to take classroom activities and you get to apply it. I mean, you get to see all your statics, your dynamic classes, your fluids, all those classes that you're doing problems that, I mean, they're just book problems. Here you get a chance to actually apply that stuff and you get to try that stuff. You get to use a lathe, you get to use a mill, you get to build something. And then you get to see all those things that you thought you were cutting corners on. Well, we actually did cut corners and it breaks. And then you have to, well, how quickly can we come up with a countermeasure? Can we fix it and still get out and compete for the rest of the way? So it just gives you that drive, and when you're done, you're exhausted. I mean, you spent a whole year creating this, but you have something to show from it.
Aside from all the competition and aside from all the studying and the hard work, that they would take the advantage here of interacting with people from different cultures, from different countries, and facilitate our global vision.
The object of the competition is to provide SAE student members with a challenging project that involves the planning and manufacturing tasks they'll encounter when introducing a new product to the consumer industrial market. Teams compete against one another to have their design accepted for manufacture by a fictitious firm. Students must function as a team, not only to design, build, test, promote, and race a vehicle within the limits of the rules, but also to generate financial support for their project and manage their educational priorities.
The University of South Florida, they're out of the ordinary. This year they put a wing on their car, which I'd say we've never seen since I've been doing Mini Baja, and as a student or a judge, we've never seen a wing on the back of a car. And they did a lot of testing, and they found that when they go off jumps, it allows them to flow through the air or fly through the air at more of a horizontal position than nosediving and flipping over. And so it was something different. We saw it actually at the last competition in South Dakota, and what they found is by having this wing, it makes it very difficult when you flip over because you break it off and you have to fix it. And so, great engineering problem. I told them that they have to keep that wing on the car no matter what. If they break it, they have to get it back on there. And so the next lap, I see them coming around and it's duct taped to the top of their roll cage. So, the problem was to keep the wing on the car, and they came up with a really good solution that still met our requirements, and they were still able to compete. And they ended up finishing in the top 5 out there in South Dakota. So,
when I talk to students about the Baja team at RIT, a lot of the students are already familiar with the team in terms of RIT has a very good reputation in sort of the Baja rounds, and actually beyond that too. A lot of the students will come to RIT and even look at RIT. They might not necessarily come here, but they'll initially be attracted to RIT because of the very strong SAE collegiate design teams that we have, both the Baja team and the Formula team. They're interested in the program because of the fact that they will get to be involved with a group of students that feel very much like themselves, and that they like to get their hands dirty, they like to make something, they like to compete, they like to be social with students that have the same interests as themselves. RIT supports this because it really improves the climate, it improves the out-of-classroom experience for the students, and in the long run really improves retention because the students have really found a way to become involved on campus in something that they truly enjoy.
All vehicles are powered by a 10-horsepower Intech Model 20 engine donated by Briggs & Stratton Corporation. The use of the same engine by all the teams creates a more challenging engineering design test. It was the second time RIT hosted the competition, but this year's field was twice the size of the event that was hosted in 2005.
RIT decided to host one of the Baja SAE events because the event really goes along with RIT's philosophy of experiential learning and taking what you get inside the classroom and applying it to the real world. It's also a great way for RIT to showcase what it has, both on campus in terms of its capital, its buildings, and also in terms of its people. Because RIT is really a place that the people are exceptional, as are the facilities. So this was a great opportunity to showcase to the world what RIT was about.
I present to you RIT Mini Baja Primary and Secondary Car 2007.
The first 2 days featured the static events at RIT's Gordon Fieldhouse. Vehicles and teams went through rigorous evaluation and technical inspection.
I work for Honda Manufacturing of Alabama in the quality department. I'm also a volunteer with SAE as the National Tech Inspector. Me and 3 other guys attend all 3 events. We overview all the rules. We make all the rules modifications. We make sure that each event is run the same and that the teams and the schools get understand what the intent of the rules are. So for future cars, they come back with a better understanding. We also make sure that each event is, has all the same judgments made when it comes to the rules. All right. So first, you guys need to lower this belt down. See how it's up in his stomach? It needs to go across his civic area, because if he were to start hitting a bunch of jumps, it's going to make his lunch come back up. Next, these need to be up around your wrist, your arm here. So that way, if they move down here, it actually pulls your arms in. If you start here and goes back here, it allows your arms to go out further. So next, they need to be just a little bit tighter than that, because he needs to maintain that 3 inches from the bar in. So if you guys can go ahead and make those adjustments. All right, so how this is going to work, I'll count down 3, 2, 1. I'll point to a direction. As soon as I point, that's your cue. You can go anytime after that. You need to start, I will start the timer as soon as your hands leave the steering wheel. 3, 2, 1. Four seconds. Very good.
Teams traveling from Canada, Mexico, South Africa, Korea, Taiwan, countries all over South America, and from the United States were paddocked in the surrounding parking lots, which gave them the opportunity to work on their vehicles.
We really think it's very important for our students to have a global perspective, because the students that we are educating today are going to work in a much more global community than previous students. So this is just a wonderful experience for them to meet these students from other countries, to talk with them, to interact with them, and make contacts that will probably last throughout their lifetimes. The way that with email, they're going to email each other after they leave this event. So they will make lasting contacts, I'm sure.
Well, it goes right back to our vision statement in our strategic plan, which says RIT will lead higher education in preparing its students for successful careers in a global society. So here we're talking about leadership. We're bringing the conference here. We're talking about careers, automobiles, and engineering expertise, and global. While RIT is the 4th oldest and 4th largest cooperative education university in the country, our students, many of them, the ones that are in the co-op program, will graduate in 5 years instead of 4, because after their sophomore year, they alternate 10 weeks or a quarter working in industry, and then they come back to campus, and they are able to tie what they learn in the classroom with what they experience in industry. And we have co-op students on every continent. We have at any one time 5,000 co-op students around the country in about 35 different states and on every continent. About 3% of our students co-op overseas right now, and we're moving towards a goal of 10%. So that experiential learning on the job is what happens when we bring this kind of a conference here.
This is the first year that there's been a woman captain for the university. And what happens is with the university, a lot of students don't want to get involved in these volunteered hours student projects. And what I tried to do was advertise it a lot, especially early on in the game. And we started telling them, it's a great opportunity to get hands-on experience. It's going to look great on a resume. It was just putting the organization out there that it's going to help them in the future. And slowly but surely we were getting students in. We had meetings during the summer. People don't like to come in during the summer, so they're working a lot, but we got people in. And constantly getting emails out there, advertising, having a lot of regular meetings, even if it was just getting to know people. This is why we have 10 students here today. Half of them were the designers, half were the builders. So we all put our team effort. Some of them are actually new at this whole idea of building a car together and racing it and the spirit of competition. So what attracted them most was the idea that it was going to help them to get a job in the future. That was a basic idea.
Basically what we got here is just a 1991 Bluebird school bus. We purchased it in Florida for $4,500, spent another $2,000 retrofitting it. We can legally seat about 15 people in it without having to have a CDL or a chauffeur's license. We travel all over the country. Last year we went from Florida to Sacramento, California, all the way up to Washington, then back across the United States to Detroit, and then back home.
Make fun little stops with it.
Yeah, we make fun little stops, see all the sights, just have a blast.
Drove it through the Redwood Forest.
Redwood Forest.
Downtown Chicago.
Downtown Chicago. As far as maintenance, there really is no maintenance. We change the oil, we adjust the brakes, and we put tires on it, and that's about it. The way we actually pitched it to our school was we did some research and found out that traveling in a 15-passenger van is actually not as safe as having a school bus. So we pitched it to the committee. They allowed us to do it. We've got Sun Hydraulics. They actually funded the entire project. They gave us $10,000 to completely retrofit the whole thing, and here it is. We've been driving it for 3 years without any problems, knock on wood, and it's a lot of fun. It's definitely the way to go.
Saturday and Sunday, it was time to get down in the dirt with dynamic events at the Hogback Hill Motocross track in Palmyra, New York. The course presented a series of formidable challenges designed to test both the teams and the vehicles. Coordinating the activities and safety of more than 140 teams was a daunting task, especially in 90-degree heat. The events scheduled for Saturday morning were hill climb, acceleration, maneuverability, suspension, and traction. Hill climb. Teams lined up to take their turn at one of the course's toughest challenges. Acceleration. While speed is not the most important factor in Baja, the design teams were tested on overall performance. Land maneuverability. The teams were judged as they drove through a series of twists and turns designed to test both the drivers and the vehicles. Suspension and traction. Hogback Hill was a scene of controlled chaos, with teams and vehicles in an endless stream between events and crew pits. Through it all was the sound of 10-horse engines whining in the heat. For the suspension and traction event, teams were gridded according to the morning results and lined up in order of their fastest times. At the end of the day on Saturday, everyone had a true sense of just how daunting the endurance event on Sunday was going to be. Sunday morning, the site opened to the teams at 7 a.m. It was going to be another sunny and hot day in upstate New York, and it was time for the 4-hour endurance race. The endurance competition assesses each vehicle's ability to operate continuously over a 4-hour stretch through rugged terrain. It's really quite simple. The team that completes the most laps in the 4-hour period wins. The trick is to finish. At 9:55, it was time for the drivers to start their engines. At 10, the race was on, and for the next 4 hours, drivers and vehicles made the arduous journey around, up, and down the course. Officials kept track as vehicles made it through woods, bounced over logs, disappeared into dips, and emerged skidding around corners. Inevitably, there were casualties. That's when the so-called carnage crews went into action, picking up the pieces and keeping the event moving. Lap after lap of Baja boogieing takes a toll on the vehicles, teams, and drivers alike.
It's pretty grueling, but we usually switch in about halfway through, but depending on whether the driver's tired or not and whether he's comfortable.
Fortunately, the mandatory safety requirements prevented serious injury to the drivers. Unfortunately, the same couldn't be said for the vehicles.
We broke a rod end on the lower right-hand A-arm. The A-arm was also bent, so we replaced the whole A-arm with one of our replacement parts. And we did it in like 10 minutes, which is really, really fast.
Did you expect that to be a problem like this?
It happens all the time. A-arms, you get break, the rod ends break, they fatigue out, and you just gotta be careful. We got a good crew here towing, so we were able to get back here real quick and get it fixed. So
back to it being quick, I mean, I couldn't believe how fast that was. Yeah. Is that a record?
No. In Arizona 2 years ago, we did both A-arms, a shock, an upright, a brake mount in 15 minutes.
So you guys are a tight crew then?
We are a tight crew.
You work together all the time?
Yeah, all the time.
4 hours flies when you're having a good time. As 2 o'clock and the end of the race neared, the excitement level rose. Dean Richardson waved the flag and dusty Baja racers crossed the finish line and made their way to the impound area and final inspection of the top 10 vehicles.
This competition for them is invaluable experience, not only for teamwork, but also their problem-solving skills really increase through this participation in this project, because they're solving real-world problems here. It's a pretty broad spectrum of things they're exposed to in a short period of time at pretty much no cost to them. So you can't really take that experience away from them, no matter how well they do at the competition.
It's great. It's an awesome experience. I definitely wanted to get involved with it because it's one of the great engineering fields that I can get into and work with the guys, get a hands-on experience your first freshman year. So it's definitely a good experience.
Basically what we're trying to do is compete against the other universities that put these designs together with the same set of rules, the same Briggs & Stratton engine. They're trying to basically get their ideas and designs out there and compete against each other and just show people that they're learning something and having a really good time with it while they're doing it. And I think that's what the society was pretty much put together for, to exchange knowledge and ideas and have a good time and learn something while they're doing it. And you can see they're definitely having a good time and they're all learning something from the experience. So I think they're doing a good job with it.
Hogback Hill Motocross track closed at 4:30, but the teams still had the awards banquet at RIT. It was time to pack it all up and head down the highway once again.
Without the hundreds of volunteers, we could have never pulled off such a terrific event. And I lost track of the number of people that told me what a fantastic event it was. I was being approached by people that said, they've been coming to Baja for 25 years and this is the best event they'd ever seen.
Vehicles flipped, metal was twisted, endurance was tested, and when it was all over, car number 005, Centro Universitario da FEI, a Brazilian university, won the 2007 Baja SAE Rochester World Challenge. FEI emerged as the top team from a field of 141. The real winner of the competition, however, was the greater Rochester community. Organizers asked each participant to donate 3 pounds of food to FoodLink, and nearly 3,000 pounds of food was collected during the event.
I'm definitely going to do it again next year. It was good. I definitely grew together closer with the team.
You can't ask for a better medium for education than real-world experience like this in college.
The best advice I could give to a team or student that wants to participate in Baja is to start thinking early. Maybe take a year where you just observe what other teams have done, and then plan very carefully and stick to your schedule. Have a schedule and stick to it.